Rev up your engines!
Okay, Ford's got their 2023 Raptor R out. The giant monster, 700 horsepower engine, right? Well, they're already recalling a whole bunch of them. They're leaking oil on them. They're breaking down. This is a supercharged 5.2 liter engine, and oil's leaking out of them. I guess they didn't make the crankshaft seals right. Oil's coming out of the things. One man has interviewed 12 owners, and what have they found? They have faulty crank seals, leaking oil. Leaky oil pan gasket. One guy's got a problem with his supercharger. Now, Ford gave a statement, and they said they're actively working on a solution for the people with their leaking oil engines and superchargers that aren't working right. I guess it shows that the president of Ford who said, we got to fix these problems, it's going to take a while. Well, it is taking a while. Bring out their brand new super truck, and things are breaking already. Now, these trucks start at $109,000. Yeah, my grandfather, he was a mechanic. He'd be rolling in his grave. People are paying $109,000 for a Ford pickup truck. Have they lost their minds? Well, I guess we are in a rather hyperinflationary society here today, but I still expect you to pay that kind of money to get a truck that's going down the road, doesn't leak oil already, but Ford's got quality control problems here. I imagine paying that kind of money for a vehicle and the oil's leaking all over the place, right? When you got it, the supercharger breaks. I mean, they claim they're dyno testing these engines for a while before they send them out because of the power. Well, what kind of testing are they doing? They're not building them right, and they ain't testing them right either. Well, I warned people that the warranties aren't worth the paper they're written on. Well, listen to this one. Dewey sends me an email and he says, I had a broken belt on a 3-year-old Goodyear tire that only had 19,000 miles on it, and it claimed 65,000 tread wear warranty. So I took it to Goodyear and they said, we did a complete test of your vehicle and you don't have enough tread left for a warranty. So you don't get any money back for another tire. Well, I'll never buy their product again. Big fan of the channel. I'm a 70-year-old mechanic myself. It's supposed to be warranted for $65,000. So why the treads went out? Of course the treads went out because the belt broke inside and the tire was sitting wrong and it wore out. I had that happen years ago with me with the Firestone tire, right? It got a bulge in it. And of course the bulge is sticking out. So it wears out. So I had 90% of the tread left on the rest of the tire. But where the bulge was, there wasn't any tread. They measured where the bulge was. So, well, there's not enough tread. You got to buy a tire. We don't give you any money back. That just shows you what scumbag these companies are. The warranties aren't worth the paper they're written on. They have so many disclaimers. There's so many ways to cheat. This guy, the belt broke on his tire, it wore out, and then, well, there's not enough tread. You know what I mean? Guarantee it. And he'd only gone 16,000 miles. He'd rotated the tires. They won't even stand behind him. That just shows you this warranty stuff is crap. Don't buy something because it has a good warranty. You'll find out it's only good for the company that's selling it to you and not for you. They got too many ways to get out of them. TT Boda said, is this medium or high mileage you put on a car in a year? I got a 2022 Skoda. Must be in Europe. My car's a year old. I got 16,000 miles. 80% is highway. Well, it depends where you are. You're in Europe. I don't know. Maybe it's high mileage for Europe because it's a small place. In the United States, kind of average driving for most people is around 20,000 miles a year. You want 16. That's not that big of a deal. Now, you said that out of those 16,000 miles, that 80% is highway. If you're not doing it in traffic jams on the highway like I did in Houston, where downtown Houston, even the highways are jammed up and it's gridlock. But if it was regular 50, 60, 70 mile an hour highway driving, that's only 10% of normal wear a city stop and go driving. So, no, the thing should still last you quite some time. And they don't sell Skodas over here. I know a lot of them have something to do with Volkswagen, but they sold them a long time in Europe. I knew a guy in England. He had Skodas and he loved them. He kept buying them. He'd owned them for 40 years and he had a brand new one that he liked. So, no, that's totally normal. In the United States, it's less than normal. Maybe it's a lot in Europe. I know it'll be a lot in Japan because they don't drive much. But, here, that's actually low mileage. JRL234 says, indestructible turbocharged engine. If you had to choose any turbocharged engine, aside from large commercial truck and bus engines, that can last a long time, whether it's gas or diesel, what would it be? All right, numero uno. If I was going to get a turbocharged vehicle, I'm not a big fan of the gasoline ones at all. I would get a diesel because the diesel turbocharged engines can last a long time. Now, I'm never a fan of gasoline turbocharged cars. It wears them out too fast. But the diesels, they take it better. But here's the problem. If I was going to get a turbocharged diesel engine, I want an older one, like an older Mercedes. Because back in the day, they were much simpler. They were all mechanical, and they could last for 1,000,000 miles if you took care of them. The new ones are all computer controlled, and they have all kinds of anti-pollution equipment on it that the old ones didn't, that makes them a pain in the But you're going to go turbocharged, you'd have to go back in the day. And the old ones didn't have that. So it would have to be an old diesel mechanical, and yeah, they could last a really long time, but the modern ones have so much computerized stuff and everything, it's just too much. Well, the largest ever hydrogen fuel cell plane just flew. It's one of these bigger jets, can hold 50 people. They did a first flight to see how it works, had an electric motor powered by a hydrogen fuel cell on it, but of course, as per usual, there is a catch. It's a twin-engine turboprop, right? Well, the engine on the right wing, I believe, was a hydrogen fuel cell electric motor. But the one on the left was still a regular jet engine. They basically run on kerosene, right? Yeah, I guess they didn't dare try it with two electric motors. Oh, we might crash. So they put a regular turboprop engine run on kerosene on one side and the electric one on the other so they could test it out. So, as you can imagine, it's going to be a long time before we're flying around in hydrogen fuel-powered electric little planes. Now, they admit they'll be short hoppers. Go like, New Jersey to Philly, whatever, back and forth. Little short hoppers, not long, distant ones as it stands. But they did try it with one regular engine and one electric motor. And they said it kind of pulled to one side because the electric motor didn't have the power that the giant turboprop had. The electric motor runs a prop, so they couldn't do the jet engine on one side and a prop on the other. So it was a turboprop on one side and then a prop with an electric motor on the other. But they actually got up and flew it around with one of the other. I don't know what they're proving here, They're still running regular kerosene that's mainly driving the thing around. They said, it was a test, and they were happy with the test, yeah. Sure, they're happy with the test. I'm sure somebody's invested a ton of money into this stuff. And they got to say, hey, when are you ever going to get that thing up in the air? Well, okay, we'll put one regular jet engine on it and an electric motor on the other one. Well, the U.S. Postal Service says they're buying 9,250 electric vans and putting up 14,000 charge stations. They got government money, of course. Hilarious thing is, they're putting out 9,250 electric Ford delivery trucks, right? But they're also buying 9,250 gasoline-powered ones, too. And those 9,250 are Fiat. Fiat still on its vehicle, so here we go. Money's going outside of the country, right? I just laugh because I tell people electric cars are not a wise decision today for people. They cost too much money to buy. The infrastructure's not there. It's not a cost-effective solution, right? Well, of course, it's hilarious that the post office just ordered 9,250 of these electric vehicles because we all know the post office is not fiscally responsible. And, of course, the post office is presently operating at a loss, as usual, and they just raised the price of stamps, right? So, in that situation, you can spend whatever you want, and then what do? You raise the price of the stamps. We don't have a choice in it. We don't vote on, do you want the post office to raise the price of stamps? No, they just do. So they can spend all this money and they'll just keep raising the price of postage. Well, of course, we do live in a somewhat capitalist society, even though there's government money going to all these corporations, which to me, that's not really capitalism. That's kind of called socialism, but they all say, we hate socialism, except when they're giving the money to the corporations, then they love it. My father said ages ago, he said, the United States is capitalism for the masses and socialism for the corporations. They get all the money, and it's okay for them to get money. All these politicians in Washington, and a lot of them say, we can't have socialized medicine. That's a bad thing. But what do they have? They have socialized medicines for themselves. When they retire, the government pays for their medical stuff forever because, they were politicians elected. They're powerful people. They need special things. We don't get free Medicare, but they do, right? Talk about hypocrites. Same thing with this electric truck stuff. Bunch of hypocrisy, bunch of nonsense, a waste of a ton of money, and then they'll just raise the price of postage again. But since we do live in a somewhat capitalist society, people will just stop sending letters. You're watching me on the internet, you can email, do whatever you want, text message people, right? You don't need the post office that much anymore. And if they keep raising the price of stamps, people will just stop using the stupid things. Hey, we stopped using horses and buggies 100-something years ago. We can stop using the stupid stamps and mailing stuff that way too. Yeah. There's UPS, FedEx, there's all kinds of companies out there. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.